Hello, my name's Emily.
I'm Britt.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I read the statement beforehand to you, correct?
Yes, that
Okay,
is
excellent.
correct.
Okay, let's begin. So, what is it that brings you into my office today?
I guess, I've just had a really rough 2 years and I needed someone to talk to.
Rough 2 years?
Yeah.
Why? What specifically has made those 2 years rough?
In May of 2015, my dad passed away somewhat suddenly from cancer.
Oh, what kind of cancer was it?
He had pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He was 55.
And do you have any other siblings?
I have 2 older brothers, but only one of them has the same dad as me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And were your parents married?
Yes, they were.
So how's the rest of your family holding up?
My brother has a really tough time with it. He doesn't like to talk about it. And my mom, I could tell, is still very, very having a hard time, still having a hard time and struggling with it.
So what are you feeling?
I guess that, a lot of the time people say, oh, it gets better, but, I see people, my family members and, my dad's siblings and, stuff, seeming to get better and just moving on with it. And I kind of feel like I'm not getting better. I feel like I was better when it first happened, and now it's, gotten harder.
Do you feel like you kind of react that way to any situation?
I think so. I think for me it was I didn't really realize, it didn't really hit me for a while that he actually was gone. And then recently, and I'd say the past 6 months, it's all hit me oh wow, he's not with us anymore.
So you have a lot of emotions going on.
Yeah.
Right now. And you wanted to come here to try to deal with them or try to get over them?
Probably try to deal with them because I know that I'll never get over it. But deal with them is probably the best thing to do.
So let's think back to a different situation, a smaller, less traumatic incident where you kind of felt like this, it took you a while to react to it.
Yeah.
And how did you move on from that situation? If you can think of one.
I mean, I don't think that there really ever. I've never had something like this happen. Really, I mean, there were kind of events leading up to it that were kind of rough. He had 6 or 7 strokes about a month and a half before he passed away. So that was something that was I kind of didn't really think that he'd end up dying from it. And I just kind of was oh, he just has some blood clots. People have strokes all the time, and he fully recovered from them. So, but that was also a time where it was oh, I didn't really realize it was happening until he was already out of the hospital from them and everything.
And did the doctors say anything about the possibility of him dying? It was just a complete surprise to you?
It was, I'd say, they'd mentioned the possibility of cancer. I'd say, maybe, a month and a half before he passed away, but they didn't know what type, and they didn't, the fact that them bringing up him, dying didn't happen until, a week before he passed away. They told us basically, we don't know how long it's going to be, but he's definitely not going to make it.
Did you get a sense of closure? Did you get to say goodbye to him? Or was it just sudden, that you didn't really...
I kind of did. We decided, I think, the morning that he passed away, the morning before he passed away, was when we kind of decided to take him off of all the machines. That way he, wouldn't be suffering anymore. And he wasn't lucid and with us that entire day, so I wasn't really ever able to actually say goodbye, but I was able to be there with him and kind of hold his hand And, like, I mean, I was able to say goodbye, but, like, he wasn't able to speak back to me because he was, like, basically on, like, painkillers, so that way he wouldn't feel it.
So he was essentially unconscious?
Yeah.
And that probably has some effect about how you're dealing with it now.
Yeah.
Have you tried any, like, kind of sort of method to try to get closure? Like, has anyone suggested, like, I don't know, like writing him a letter or like trying to like?
I mean, I go to his grave pretty often because it's not far from here. I go at least like once a week, if not like every other week, and I like kind of try to talk to him. And there was like for a little bit, like the hours leading up to when he passed away, I had like about 20 minutes alone with him where I was kind of able to say goodbye and talk to him and stuff, but I wasn't really ready to yet, so I couldn't actually like feel like I was doing it, I guess.
Yeah. So So, you say you talk to him?
Yeah.
And you feel like you can kind of sense that he's there, almost?
I mean, I guess, for me, it's kind of just like, I mean, I know that he's, like, under my feet and stuff, so it's kind of like me just being, like, telling him what's going on with my life. Like, if something happens, then I'll, like, go see, like, if something big happens, like, good, then I'll, like, go see him, and I'll, like, tell him, and, like, I went to see him, like, on my birthday, and I went to him on his birthday, and on holidays I'll go see him, and I'll kind of just, like, give him an update, I guess, on everything that's going on, like, with, like, my mom or my brother, because my brother doesn't live here, so he's not able to see him.
Do you, what are your thoughts on, like, do you believe that he's still with you in a sense? Like, where do you think?
I mean, I guess I kind of still feel like he's, like, there to, like, watch over me. Like, I definitely believe that. And there's, like, more times where I feel it than I don't. Like, there's sometimes, like, I feel it more than others. Like, if, I don't know, like, when I swim, I feel more connected to him then, because that was, like, our connection, like, our biggest connection was swimming, because he swam growing up, and he was a swim official for, like, me when I was growing up, so that was something that I was always able to talk to him about. So when I'm in the pool, I kind of feel more, like, connected with him than when I'm, like, doing an everyday activity, like sitting in class or something like that.
So you swim and you feel him with you, like, that's when you feel him the most?
Yeah.
Is that why you still swim? To feel him? Or is it just kind of, like...
I think it's a part of it is well, kind of, I guess, after he first passed away, I wasn't able to get in the pool for a while, for like 3 months. I just couldn't do it because it was our thing. And then I kind of realized, like, that was my way of staying connected to him. And so it helps me, like, so when I do swim, and I do swim in a race, or I'm at a swim meet, or I'm doing a practice, it's kind of like I'm doing it for him, and like myself as well, but I'm doing it mostly like for him and to make him proud.
So it sounds like swimming's almost like therapeutic to you,
yeah,
in a sense. And if you weren't swimming, do you feel like you would be worse off than you are now?
Probably. I think that if I wasn't swimming, I probably would have gone down a really destructive path, and I probably wouldn't be in school anymore. I probably would have ended up dropping out, I think, and I just, like, wouldn't be doing anything with myself, I think, if I had stopped swimming, and it's kind of been, like, my saving grace, I guess you could say.
And that's really, honestly, very brave of you to be able to try that again after something like this happened.
Yeah.
And to find that you still find happiness in it and still enjoy doing it and that you can use it to your advantage almost.
Yeah.
It's really great. And I think that maybe do you ever think about your dad when you do other things? Or, like, try to feel him in the way you feel, like, when you're swimming?
A lot of, if I'm just driving in the car and, like, a song, like, certain songs will come on and I'll feel close to him. Like, he was really into music and he was like a roadie for a band. And so he got really into music and he kind of got me into music growing up and into, like, certain, like, bands and, like, singers and stuff. And so there's, like, certain songs that'll come on and I'll, like, feel connected to him. And so for a while I would skip past them because I couldn't listen to them without getting upset. But now it's, like, my way to feel close to him again.
And do you feel upset when you listen to these still, or do you feel more of, like, a sense of, like, peace and joy?
It kind of just depends on the day. Like, there's some days where I do feel kind of sad, and then there's some days where I do feel, like, kind of, like, happier when I hear them. Like, if I'm having a rough day and, like, that song come on, like, a certain song come on shuffle on my phone, then for me, that'll kind of, like, brighten my day a little bit. Or there'll just be days where, like, I already do miss him, and that song will come on, and it'll kind of, like, make me a little upset just because it just reminds me, like, more that he's still not around.
And can you talk to your other family members about this, or is it kind of, like an untouchable subject?
I don't like to talk to my mom about it because I know it just makes her sad, and I don't like to see her sad. Like, I don't know, just she'll cry, and I know that if she cries, then I'll start to cry, or if I start crying when I tell her, then she'll start crying. So that's hard. And then with my brother, he doesn't like to talk about it at all. He like won't talk to anybody about it. There's like a few times where he's like, we've discussed memories that we had with our dad, but never how he felt when, you know, like the month or so leading up to his passing. He like won't talk about it. And then I don't know, I'm not with his like family, like his brothers and sisters. I don't know, I don't really feel like I can talk to them about it that much. Not because, like, I just feel like it's, like, weird to talk to them about it, and then it's even weirder to talk to his mom about it, because she's very old, and she doesn't really realize sometimes, like, how long it's been, or she'll, like, forget sometimes that he's even passed away, so that's really hard.
It sounds like everyone kind of has, like, a different take on it.
Yeah.
Do you think that affects you?
Kind of, because it, like, makes me feel like, I know that, like, everybody has, like, different ways of dealing with it, and everyone feels differently, but it's kind of hard to feel like you, like, it's hard when other people have different takes on it, because you don't really know, like, what you can talk about and what you can't, or, like, something that's gonna upset them.
Is there anyone specifically that you could go to if you wanted to talk about it?
I usually, if I want to talk about it, I'll talk to my best friend. We've been best friends since we were 4, and her dad was my dad's best friend. And her dad actually carried the casket at my dad's funeral. And they were there for it. They flew all the way out here for it from California. So if I do talk to anybody about it, I usually go to her because she was kind of there for me when it was all going on. After he passed away, she drove to the hospital to be with me and to say goodbye to him as well. And she was there the other times that he was in the hospital, and she was the first person that I told when he did really start to get sick and it started to get bad.
Do you feel any sense of like relief when you talk about it?
A little bit. For me, it's like when I do talk to her about it, she doesn't like give me advice, but she tells me like, you know, like, I don't know, she kind of just like reminds me of like fun times that I had with him, because the majority of them, like, we were together because she was basically a part of our family. And so we'll kind of reflect on, like, the happier times rather than me, like, being upset about the fact that he is gone.
That's really good. And when you think about the happy times, do you find, I guess what I'm trying to ask, like, do you ever find yourself, like, alternating back and forth very frequently between, like, focusing on the good and then thinking about the bad in the situation? And do you think that kind of has an effect on, like, how you deal with your feelings? Because it's very up and down.
Yeah, I usually do tend to try to think about, like, good times. Like, when I was little, he was the one that got me into swimming, and, you know, if I'm sad, then I'll think about, like, car rides to swim meets and how he would just, like, get me really excited about my races and stuff. Or he was the one that picked me up from school every single day, and he took me to school every single day when I was little. And if we drove, then we'd, like, just listen to music together, or if we walked, he would talk to me about my day. And when I was little, he would, like, stand a little bit farther back in the beginning of the school day when we all lined up before class. He would, like, stand farther back because school made me really nervous growing up. And so if I, like, needed him to go stand up at the line with me, I'd be, like, standing on the line, I'd, like, call him over with my hand, like, wave him over. Or, like, if I was, like, feeling good that day, then I'd be able to, like, tell him, like, okay, you can go now. And it's kind of, like, that sense of, like, it reminded me that, like, he was always there. And so it reminds me, like, even though he's not here now, like, I still feel like he is here, like, in some way.
So he sounds like a very loyal parent to you.
He was.
He's a very great dad.
He was.
What are some other things that you loved about him?
He wasn't a very talkative guy. He was one of those people where he only spoke if he felt like what he was going to say was really important. So if he wasn't that person that just, like, would speak to speak. He always had, like, really good advice on stuff. Like, if I was having trouble deciding on what I was going to do with something, then he would always support me. But he'd, like, remind me, like, you know, if you do this, then this will happen. And there was a time where I quit swimming in high school for about 3 years. I didn't swim. And leading up to me quitting, I spoke to him a lot about it. And I told him my situation. He reminded me, like, you know, you can quit, and obviously we're going to support you. But if you do quit, you have to remember, like, there are going to be days where you're probably not happy with that decision. But if you do decide to go back, then you can always do that. Like, it's not set in stone. You can always go back if you wanted to. And so that was something that always helped me. And then just, like, him always being there for my brother and I. When I was in kindergarten, the kindergartners had, like, half days of school. And so my brother and I went to different elementary schools. And so my dad would pick me up from kindergarten. And then we'd go and we'd pick up my brother from his school, which got out about 2 hours after me. And then after that, he'd take us to Wendy's and get us Frosties all the time. And we'd just sit there and he'd ask us about our days. And so that always helped.
Yeah, so do you ever think about these qualities, like, today, when you go through your days, like, and is it something, like, that you strive to be like? Is it something that, like, helps you, like, kind of motivates you to be more like him?
Yeah, I've always, growing up, my mom always said I was more like him than I was like her. I had his sense of humor, and I guess I had his stubbornness. And she always said that I had, like, his determination and compassion towards things. And growing up, he always, every single day before I got out of the car for school or for swim practice, he would tell me, do good, be good. And when I was little, I didn't think much of it. I just thought he was just saying it to say it. But as I got older and I kind of, like, realized, like, the meaning behind it, it kind of was something that I like strived to do. And so that's something. And I mean, he was all around like an amazing father and like just person. And everything that he did, he always put in like 100% effort. And that's something that I struggle doing, but I want to be able to do like he did.
That's really good that you try to be like that and do good. I like the do good, be good. I think that's really simple and it's easy. It's not too much to think about.
Yeah.
At once too.
Yeah.
How was your dad during the last parts of his life, like when he started having the strokes?
It started in March. He had a heart attack, and we didn't really think much of it because the doctor said that it was a small heart attack. So we were just kind of like, okay, no big deal. And then when he had his strokes, he had one, and he didn't even realize that he had it because it was small. And then he had another, and he told my mom that he just didn't feel right and he needed to go to the hospital. And so she took him, and while he was in the hospital, he had like 4 more. And at first, he was kind of comedic in a sense. He was making jokes about it a lot. The doctor told him, Ryan, you had a stroke. That's why you feel the way that you do. And he looked at the doctor and said, that's impossible. You need to read the brain scans again. And when they took him up to Stanford Hospital for when they found out that he had the strokes because they could give him better care, and when they were going through doing all the evaluation and noticing his motor skills on his left side were weaker, he was almost joking about it. And he would joke with the doctors. And so that was like, it was nice to see him still joking, but you could tell that he was off. And then they ended up taking his license away, obviously, because he couldn't drive anymore since he had had so many strokes. And I was doing online classes for school, so I was able to be home with him all the time. And so I was ultimately the one that was taking care of him. And I had to hide the car keys from him every day because he would ask for them. And I had to remind him, Dad, you can't drive. And he'd say, I don't want to drive. I just want to know where the keys are. So to make sure they're not lost. I'd remind him, Dad, they're not lost. He'd be like, whatever. You're not the boss of me anyway. And he'd just be joking. But the last week and a half to 2 weeks before he passed away, he was definitely, there was a big change. He wasn't joking as much. The last few days he wasn't even lucid with us. I remember when they told him that he had the cancer, that he definitely had pancreatic cancer. It was 6 days before he passed away. And I remember he just started to cry. And he just couldn't believe it. And he was apologizing to my mom, brother, and I like it was his fault. And so obviously that hurt us to see him so upset, because I had only ever seen my dad cry once in my life, and it was when he was talking to me about his dad passing away. So that was hard. So it was I guess for all the things that happened, it was in the short amount of time, it was fast because it was from the beginning of March to the end of May. But it took him a while to really seem like there was a big difference in him.
And I'm sure that's obviously not what you remember him by.
Yeah.
You remember the good things.
Yeah, I don't want to remember him as, that last few weeks.
He sounds definitely like he was a very strong person.
Yeah.
Trying to, at least, it takes a lot of courage to be able to joke when you're going through something like that. And I think that's really good that you have so many qualities of him evident in you, such as those. And thanks for talking about it. Thanks for opening up, and thanks for coming in.